Here is my Flash movie review. To my surprise, I really liked the movie, and while not perfect, it was much better than I thought it would be. I am going to spoil significant parts of the movie and my thoughts on it. So if you don't want to watch it, the movie. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, I should say, it's going to be spoiled. So I'll watch this later. Things that stood out were people said the graphics and effects were crap, but I really didn't mind the feel of it. And maybe in the movie theater it's different. I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much, but I enjoyed it watching it at home better than I would have in a movie theater. That's for most movies, by the way. And what I liked was, again, the special effects really don't affect me because, like we subconsciously know when it's not something real, physical, that it's just a computer effect. As I suspected, Doc Flash was the Barry Allen of the other timeline, the goofy one. When he had the blue effects around his body and the costume was a bit darker, what was pretty good, and they didn't, this is some of the context, what I'm talking about story-wise was, you could see him turning that he wanted to reverse the past and to save things, but he didn't go through hardships in life, and like he told the Flash we know, he told them I didn't want these powers, you gave it to me, and basically he had a good life and he was not prepared for all of this ability, all of this responsibility, and then he went over the edge, which is a real thing when the regular Barry Allen, the regular Flash that we know, he went through the hardships in life. So when it came time to do what's responsible, he knew what to do and what not to do because of the things he had growing up and all the hardship. And that was a story theme that I wonder if many people picked up on. The goofy Flash, he had a good life and then he got thrown into this situation, and it's how could he handle it? How could he know? And so in a way he's a victim because he got thrust into a situation beyond his control, beyond his means, and he just didn't know how to handle it. And then he had that notion of going to the past, reversing it. He kept trying, and as it kept happening, the costume and him kept getting darker. And you immediately noticed it when he got that first piece of metal on him, what was going to happen. And then the reveal, I didn't know he would be that old, so that surprised me. And he wasn't the plot point bad guy. It's sometimes the Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man movie, you could see it was 50-50 almost, or the Joker and Batman. The bad guys were just a side story, because the real story was Barry and the other Flash. Things I didn't like were, I think they spent too much time on the goofy Flash, the one who had a good life. They spent too much time on him and he was annoying. As it kept going, before it got more serious, they spent too many minutes, too much time on the goofy interaction with the other Flash. And I didn't think there was a need for the regular Flash to lose his powers. I just, story-wise, I didn't think that was necessary. You could have got the story together without it. And, stuff I liked switching around was when we saw Batman 89 in it. I thought that was cool, the Ben Affleck in the beginning, the action sequences. I thought the conversations back and forth were really good with the Flash. And that little Wonder Woman moment, that was really nice for a comedy bit, that was good. But again, there was just too much interaction between the two Flashes, just doing goofy stuff and stuff that really wasn't necessary, which kind of dragged the movie down for too much. It's like a review I read that said there was a really good story somewhere in there, between all that stuff, if you just focused on that. And to me, again, this is to me. Uh, Before I get there, I just want to say the Batman stuff when Supergirl died and Zod got the DNA matrix. I didn't expect that part. Zod won in that world because he got the DNA and he was going to terraform that planet. And Supergirl was definitely not as strong as Superman because Superman won and she didn't. That Supergirl lost and he got the Matrix and he was going to transform that world. You know, that was interesting. It's like, did the bad guy really win? I think so. And it finally wrapped up the Matrix plot, which I felt was annoying because it was never addressed really after Man of Steel. Now we finally got sort of a resolution to it, which I thought was fitting. About that whole storyline, which was very messy from the beginning. So we got the Flash world, we got a lot of stuff that connected. I thought it was really nice. You know, the stuff like with Nicolas Cage and Superman and the giant spider, that was talked about in the history of the previous Superman films, about how one guy wanted a giant spider in a movie and stuff like that. So, you know, it was kind of like nice behind the scenes to get that. But for me, the moment of the whole entire film, the best part of the movie, and it shows why sci-fi or fantasy stuff that is not the real world, okay? Why it can have a meaningful impact, because you could do things you can't do in real life. And it could really hit emotions of like, what if you could, and just like your imagination, was when the Flash, our Flash, had to switch the cans from the mother's shopping cart, knowing what would happen to her by switching these cans. And yet, to save the world, it was something he had to do. And that scene with that music, and I looked up the music after and listened to it, it was a good track. That scene with that music was the best part of the film to me. When the character said, "I love you," and the response was, "I love you more," that was one of the exact things that my mom had said to me over the years. The exact phrase. So yeah, that really hit me. And it was just the music and the story situation that we, the viewer, know by switching this can, what's going to happen to her. And he does not want to do this, but to save the future, he has to, and he can't tell her to make that choice. That was powerful. And the thing is, the focus should have been more on him, because he wanted to save his mother and to meet her. He only met her in that one scene in the beginning of the film when they're having lunch, and it was just like a goofy plot point. You should have just, you're back in the past, you should interact with her more. That's what they should have done, really. Make it a drama. But that shopping cart, I mean, that was powerful. And the thing that on the good writing they had there, which I never would have thought of, was the switching of the cans so that when he reached up, he would be on film and he would be cleared of charges, the father. I never would have thought of that plot point if I was writing the story. I mean, that was a really nice bit as well. And the funniest was one of the worst Batmans of all time, George Clooney. But he actually kind of looked cool and was presentable at the end. And when he said like the 4-letter word, that's the exact word I thought when I watched the scene. Like, what the? And it's like, oh man, he said it, the exact thing I would have said. And it shows just like the past was changed a bit. Oh well. And the addition of the scene at the end, that was okay. The credits. But overall, for me, Flash was, if I had to give out of 10, I'd probably give it an 8 or a 9. To me, it was a good film. A lot of stuff going on. A bit too much comedy. Could have just streamlined it a bit, but it worked for me. You know, my thing is, would I watch a movie in the background if it's free on TV? And there's a lot of stuff from DC or Marvel that I won't want to watch again. But this, you could put it on cable TV free, and I'll leave it on. I'll watch it. I'll just keep it there. So that gets my approval. And so basically, I liked it, to my surprise. And that's my review of The Flash. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, my friends, and I'll talk to you later.